All right, good morning. Can we have some time to focus on the key road projects that we're handling on behalf of the President through the PIDF, which is the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, legacy projects of the President. I'll also speak about two other things in particular which I believe are topical, which are the areas of healthcare and as well as agriculture, particularly the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, which has been a truly revolutionary program of President Muhammadu Buhari. So let me start by speaking very quickly. The NSIA, you all know, was set up and is owned by the Federation. The ownership of the NSIA is split into three. Federal government owns 45.8% of the NSIA. The state government owns 36.2%, local government owns 17.8%, and the FCT 0.16%. So this is a truly federation investment vehicle owned by all three tiers of the government. And it was set up and operationalized. The law was passed in 2011, operationalized in 2012 to do the following things. One is to obviously work to enhance infrastructure in Nigeria, create a savings base for the future generations of Nigerians, and also to provide stabilization support in times of economic stress. Next page, please. The NSIA has over time received contributions, initially $1 billion, and then nothing for quite some time until when President Buhari started to make extra contribution to the NSIA. So altogether, the NSIA has received $1.6 billion from the government and has earned returns that has put NSIA's assets now at $2.3 billion. So over time, it's earned coming up to almost $700 million in returns from its core investments. But in addition to all of this, NSIA also now manages the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, to which there has been significant contributions totaling $650 million initially, $265 million later on. And more recently, the Abuja funds that have been recovered, $311 million, have also been transferred to the NSIA. All of these are dedicated to the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund. So I need to be sure that you all fully understand that. So the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund at the moment has fully committed capital of about $1.7 billion. And this is really now focused on these projects. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Second Niger Bridge, Abuja-Kano Road, and the Mambila Hydropower Project. East-West Road was originally on that list, but subsequently an arrangement was made where it was taken out of the PIDF and returned to the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. So the PIDF projects are now down to 4 projects: Lagos-Ibadan, Second Niger Bridge, Abuja-Kano Road, and Mambila Hydropower. Again, I know this is an area of interest, and I'm going to focus on it today to give some highlights, show you the progress we've made, and give you updates on the challenges and time to completion of some of these projects. Next page, please. I'm not going to bore you with this. You've seen our earnings results in the past of the NSIA. I'll just say 2 things on that. One, it is a prudently run organization. We're very risk focused in terms of managing risk. In the 8.5 years almost of running NSIA, almost 95 months, we have hardly had one down month. We've been profitable just about every single month of the organization. So it's really something that is focused on risk management. And look, we spent some time on several times in the press talking about what is driving our profits and all that. Last year was a very good year for the NSIA. So far, this year is looking very solid as well. But I was more cautious about this year because of the inflationary environment globally that is happening. So I'm not going to speak too much time on the Future Generations Fund because, like I said, in the first half of the year, during our earnings announcement, we spent plenty of time with the press to explain what the earnings were. But last year, so far so good. This year, tracking along the lines of our expectations. Now, let me speak to the Infrastructure Fund. Now, this is where I think it starts to get really interesting to the things you can relate to. NSIA's investments in infrastructure has to pass 4 key tests. The first test is that it has to be something of nationwide importance. It has to be something where we can attract both local and international capital and also be able to make commercial returns and social returns, and the legal environment has to be conducive. For PIDF, it checks all these boxes. It's the President's program, we're managing it, but these roads have nationwide importance. We are looking to bring in other commercial capital contributors, both pension funds, who are interested in investing in the project. And also we're looking, these projects will be commercial. Okay, so they're going to be profitable over time, because roads are economic assets, the economic corridors that can always be made to be profitable. And I explained to you how we're going to achieve that, because that's the only way they can also be maintained after they've been built. And the regulatory environment around the PIDF, and I will emphasize again, is the President's legacy program. We are just here as managers of those projects. So it's really important that you understand how the legal environment around the PIDF works. This will be run in a commercial manner. There'll be certain aspects of it, from trailer parks to all kinds of things, that will be very profitable for the NSIA. Just in terms of the footprint of our investments, you can see on the map quite a number of areas where the NSIA has made most of its investments. Now, enough about the NSIA. Let's switch to the President's programs, PIDF. The Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund was set up in 2018, and it was set up with an objective of attacking certain areas where we have been as a country stuck. There were some projects that have been in the drawing board, some as long as 40 years, 50 years, no movement on those projects. The President decided to isolate them from the current process and create a new funding mechanism to make those projects move faster. Second Niger Bridge, for example, has been in the drawing board since 1976. No movement on the Second Niger Bridge until the PIDF was effectively set up. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, similar type of circumstances. Many of you know that road very well. I remember driving that road back as far back as the 80s and the 90s. Same story. Needed a lot of rework. Abuja Kaduna Kano Road, again, these are projects that have been stuck. Everybody knows we need to do them to make sure that we drive economic activity a bit more effectively. So these things have been stuck. Mambila, of course, again, another one that has been stuck for a very long time. So PIDF was set up as a mechanism that creates a vehicle that takes government contribution, NSIA's contribution, and opens it up to investors to come in as a way to make sure we finish these roads on time. And the progress has been, quite frankly, even if I must say so, quite impressive in the last 3 years of the PIDF being set up. A lot of money has gone into these roads as well. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is split into two sections. There's Lagos to Shagamu, which is handled by Julius Berger. Then there's Shagamu to Ibadan, which is handled by RCC. Then there's Second Niger Bridge, which cuts across Asaba to Onitsha, so Delta and Anambra states. There are 3 phases to it. Phase 2A, 2B, and Phase 1. Phase 1 is what we're handling now, which is the 10.9 kilometers of road plus of bridge plus approach road. Then there's 2A and 2B. These are further access roads stretching back to into the Benin-Asaba Expressway, as well as all the way connecting the Owerri interchange and going towards Obosi, for those who know the area. Phase 1 is where we're focused on at the moment. We're 62% completed on Phase 1. We're about to start Phase 2 and Phase 3, 2A and 2B. But the bridge can be operational once we finish just 2A. The rest of 2B not necessarily that operational. So you'll see the progress that we've made on that. So 2A, Phase 1 is the first project that was given to the NSIA to handle. The expected completion date is 2022. And I think from what I have seen and what I'm going to show you, I can confidently say that that will be completed by 2022. Second, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the same argument, the same objective. 2022 is when we're expecting to complete it. And then Abuja Kano Road, initial scope, should be completed in 2021. But as you know, the scope of the project has been changed now significantly in terms of reconstructing the entire road. So that will push out some of the completion dates on the Abuja Kano Road. But I can tell you that Kaduna, Zaria, Kano end will be done. Abuja Kaduna is where we're now going to, you're going to see some real activity in terms of funding that starting soon after, and I believe we'll be solving most of the issues outstanding that this month by August, I believe. So I'm very confident with where we are on all these roads. So let me start with, let's start with Second Niger Bridge, please. I don't know how many of you in this room went with us last year when we invited the press to come and see what's happening, but I will encourage you to have a close look. And I would have loved to have shown you before and after, but this is where we are. Last time we visited this bridge, only one side of the decking was done. Now both sides of the decking is almost completed. I've been told by the contractor. I just think it's important you understand this because I hear all kinds of talk, and I think if you don't understand engineering, you probably never understand what the challenges are. So this is the progress, 2018 and today. This is, like I said, truly, in my opinion, something quite transformational. What you see on the bottom right corner is the access road. Again, the entire length of this project, this phase 1, is 10.9 kilometers. The actual water crossing is 10.7, and then the approach roads make up the rest. So where are we now on this? Again, like I said, the phase 1 will be completed 2022. We're starting work on the access road, which takes us, again, for those who may or may not know the area. If you're coming from Benin, you have to, before you get to Asaba Airport, you bypass into a new road we're constructing. So the road will bypass Asaba completely, bypass Onitsha, and then come out going towards Owerri. Now, there are 2 other smaller bridges that will take you back into Onitsha and Asaba. I thought to show this because I think, again, this has been something that's been in the works from when I was in primary school, and that was a very long time ago. And finally, under this administration, through the PIDF, is getting done. Let's go to the next one, please. Again, another difficult project, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Let me start by apologizing. I know the next month or 2 will be very difficult for those who are using this road because there are many diversions being built at the moment to enable them complete a, what's that thing called, like a flyover? Yes. Exchange. Okay, that's engineering term, interchange or exchange. But the layman will call it flyover. So I think the point here is that there is something that is going on that road that is going to cause some real pain in the short run. Now let me explain to you why this road is a bit difficult, right? It is the most trafficked road in the whole of Nigeria. 40,000 vehicles every day pass this road, and there's really no alternative. And so anytime you create any little diversion, traffic backs up a lot. Yeah, so it is the fact. Every day, almost every week, I get a call from somebody screaming they've spent 3 hours, 4 hours. Look, it is because work is ongoing. It will be completed at a certain point soon. Like I said, July 2022 will be done. But in the short run, I've been told by the contractors that the next 1 or 2 months will be very challenging, but that's just to help them complete the interchange. Again, one of those that is, and I've heard a few things I'm going to refer to very quickly. And I don't always respond to things that go around, but when they make it to the mainstream press, it's time to really correct some impressions. This road is 6 lanes going from Lagos to Shagamu, and then from Shagamu to Ibadan becomes 4 lanes, correct? Good. Now, Julius Berger, I think where we are on the Lagos to Shagamu end is 70% completion. So what is left is now 30%. We lost a little bit of time during the COVID thing because people couldn't move back and forth. But the current estimated completion date for the Lagos-Shagamu end is July 2022. But please, if these things overrun by 1 or 2 months, don't say MD NSIA said July, therefore let's hang him up. It might, there will always be, a bit of slippages here and there. But at the moment, I don't see any reason to worry, but I always make sure that I manage expectations and manage risk because we don't know some of the things that we might still yet encounter. There are a number of things the President has asked us to do, and we are in the course of doing those things. The first thing is to build a new trailer park in Ogere. Because part of the challenge we face at the moment is when you build these projects, you have these trailer parks, the trailers come and stand on the road. These are expensive pieces of infrastructure. They are dripping petrol, they are dripping engine oil, they are dripping diesel. If you understand a bit of chemistry, you understand that diesel, petrol, they melt asphalt, and this is what starts to eat up the road. Okay? And so the appeal right now is that people should not please park their vehicles on the road. They destroy the roads that have been built. So this will be done. So there'll be trailer park built in Ogere that will now help get those trailers off the road. We've got the approval of the president to start that. Recently, we're in communication with the government of Ogun State, who have offered us their own existing trailer park, which should be reconstructed. The second thing that I think will be done, and I think when this is done, these roads will be tolled. All of them will be tolled. But there are commercial opportunities for everything from concessions, trailer warehouses along that line that I think will also be things that will create real commercial opportunities. But this is where we are on this road. Next one, please. Abuja, Kaduna, Kano. Right. Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, initial scope was to rehabilitate 92.5 kilometers, but we've changed it to full reconstruction of the entire road. And something very funny came up. Somebody said it was the most expensive road in the world, blah, 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 and it's not. Okay, let me start by making sure I correct that impression. It is not. When you look at road construction, what you look at is costs per kilometer per lane. You don't just say cost per lane. It doesn't work like that. Cost per kilometer, it doesn't work like that. Lagos-Ibadan is 6 lanes. This is 4 lanes, okay? When we have done the math, the numbers are very clear. Lagos-Ibadan, because of the terrain, more expensive. This one, because of the terrain, per kilometer per lane, not as expensive. It's just a very long road. It's 375 kilometers. Lagos-Ibadan is 127 kilometers. So those are the things I need you to be very, very aware of, okay? Why do we need to reconstruct the road? Because the existing road is gone. It's been built a long time ago. This one will be rebuilt and it'll be 20 years warranty. Similar to what we have on, don't you all enjoy driving on Abuja Airport Road? That is the level of infrastructure that this country requires, and that's the sort of thing that is being done. I mean, if you look at Lagos-Ibadan, the depth of excavation is 1 meter deep for some of these roads. So this is to make sure that it lasts for a very, very long time. So that's what's happening. Now that we've changed the scope from 92.5 kilometers to 375 kilometers, where, you know, the completion dates will shift. The cost will also expand, but per lane per kilometer is actually done as cost competitively as possible. So this is where we are. I mean, I just not too long ago drove the Kaduna, Zaria, Kano end. For those who are driving it, you can tell the quality of what is being done. I think the road markings have started. Have they done it? Okay. They finished the road markings, and so you start to see signages will come up, and you start to see the quality of the infrastructure. But once these things are done, we can take them off the budget for a while, and then it's now about handing it over to a concession company to run it and maintain it. So this is the PIDF road projects. I'll just make 2 comments on the ones that Mambila, we've started a couple of things. We're doing some value engineering, looking at the scope again of Mambila. That's kind of where we are at the moment with Mambila. But once all that work is done, I believe we'll get the directive of the president as to how best next to proceed. But we are prepared to make sure that that project also gets done. So that is where we are on the PIDF roads. So next year will be a very busy year of completions and commissionings of different parts of some of these roads. Next. Now let me switch from PIDF and speak to the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative. Okay? And I'm going to speak about 2 or 3 things in Presidential Fertilizer Initiative. The first thing is that the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative has been truly revolutionary. It has achieved a number of key objectives. First objective is that we have now revived the domestic fertilizer blending industry. Before PIDF started, okay, before it started, we had, I remember fertilizer price, I remember in 2016 was as high as 13,000 naira a bag. It was scarce, government was spending a lot of money on subsidy, and there was no domestic blending industry at all operational. There were 4 working, they were running at less than 10% utilization. Post PIDF, we've achieved the following successes. Number 1, the number of domestic blending plants involved in the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative have now gone from initially, started with 7, got to 11 in the first year. We now have 47 blending plants. We had 30 last year. We have 47 now as part of the Fertilizer Initiative of the President. Again, a completely dead and moribund industry. Result is now it's been revived. That's number 1. Number 2, the cost of fertilizer then was 13,000 naira. The president in the first year brought it down to 5,500 naira. And of course now it's gone up a bit. I'm seeing price at 7,500, 8,000 still. I mean, with inflation and whatever else has happened, that's quite reasonable. I'm seeing about 8,600, 9,000 naira. Fine, fair enough. But the point though is that the market has now become domesticated. Okay, we used to buy everything completely finished. Now we are bringing in only raw materials that we don't have in Nigeria, and we're getting the local markets to work. So 4 companies initially before we started, 47 now working. Price was 13,000 naira. Price dropped all the way to 5,500 naira. And then we created domestic employment. Third point, on the PFI, even with price at 13,000 naira in 2016, there was scarcity everywhere. In the first year of PFI being implemented, we had 7 million bags of excess products in the warehouses. So today, nobody here is complaining about fertilizer being an issue. The program has been restructured completely again, one more step, but that is to ensure that the gains of the initial restructuring are maintained. Let me go on to a few points I want to make on PFI, because I think it's really important. In the first phase, can you go to the phasing of PFI, please? So this is the number of blending plants. Like I said, go back, please, go back. We had 11 in the first year. By the end of the first year, like I said, 4 were working in 2016, but by the end of the first year, we had 11, went up to 47. This is the distribution of the blending plants across the country. Again, completely moribund industry, revived under the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative. Next page, please. No, next one. Next. No, go back. Okay. Leave it. I'll explain what is on this page. Sorry, we didn't realize that we're going to be presenting to a whole group. We thought we're going to just give you a piece of paper. But let me explain what's going on here. Okay? 3 things. We've made some changes this year on the way the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative is going to work. And I want you all to listen because this is very important. There are 3 or 4 phases to the PFI program. Phase 1 was a phase where we actually sat down with the fertilizer blending plants. The NSIA ran the program for them. We brought the raw materials to them. We made them we did the transportation, did the logistics, they blended for a fee. Phase 2, they now start to take responsibility. They put up their own guarantees, put up their own cash, and then they do the transportation themselves. What do we do then as NSIA? We bring in the raw materials for them. Because we are the NSIA, we're able to negotiate better pricing for the entire industry. So they get raw materials at a discounted rate. But they're now handling most of the responsibilities themselves. When this restructuring was implemented, people were a little bit concerned that it may not succeed, but it has. At the moment, the blending plants have put up cash and guarantees of 160 billion naira. This is something the government will have had to carry, but now they're carrying it themselves. They're doing transportation, will have cost us 45 billion naira, they're carrying it themselves. And guess what? Nobody's complaining about fertilizer. The industry is starting to work. Phase 3 is NSIA now getting involved in upstream production of the components. So you saw the announcement with Morocco to build an ammonia plant. That ammonia plant is going to help us produce what is called diammonium phosphate, again with OCP of Morocco. This is one raw material that we import a lot. That plant, we're going to break ground this year and hopefully finish construction within the next 3 years. Phase 2, there's phosphate in Sokoto, not yet tapped. We are going to invest in making sure that that phosphate is beneficiated and used locally. Phase 3, there is potash in Bauchi running all the way to Gombe to Benue State. Again, not tapped. These are the things we're going to spend time on. Ultimately, when the PFI program is completed, you will hardly see us import anything because all of these things are in Nigeria. So why did we spend decades importing finished fertilizer when we can make them locally? Again, this is something I think needs to be really spoken about because I have seen through it and the fact that this is truly revolutionary. And I'm going to stop with one last thing, healthcare. 20 minutes is up? Okay. Let's go to healthcare. Right. 3 things we've done in healthcare. First of all, the NSIA has a healthcare investment company. And the healthcare investment company, we initially wanted to take on all these challenges in healthcare, but we realized that if you take it all at once, you're probably never going to succeed. So we decided to do 2 things. First of all is showcase an area that is of interest to Nigerians, and we took cancer. And we went to the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, LUTH, and said, can we partner with you, take over your cancer center and rebuild it? And that was the first thing we did. Second, we now built 2 world-class diagnostic and radiology centers in Kano and Umuahia. And I'm happy to report that those centers have been successful. Initially, we hired a management team from South Africa. It didn't work out. We fired them. We started again. We built our own management team. At the moment, these 3 firms are now running, and again, I find very uncomfortable to discuss profits and discuss healthcare. But they're running according to our plan. The healthcare, the LUTH Cancer Center is doing quite well, and all these firms on an EBITDA basis have become really profitable. What is our objective now? Objective now is to build out 20 more of these centers across the country. We're starting this year with 3. Next year, I think we're going to roll out something around 7 next year, and then another 10 the following year. So there'll be 20 of these centers built across the country. And it's everything from cancer to radiology to diagnostics. And then our flagship program is our world-class hospital that we're building here in Abuja. That will be a center for advanced medicine. So these are 3 areas where in the role we have played at NSIA, we believe there's been some significant infrastructure investments. We've talked about the roads, we've talked about fertilizer, we've talked about healthcare. There are many other things we can talk about, but I'll probably stop here and take questions, if any.